What's going on, everybody? My name's Matt and welcome back to the channel. Today I just wanted to talk a little bit about my 2019 Mustang Ecoboost. This is a performance pack car with a 6-speed manual. Those of you who know Mustangs know this transmission is called the MT82 and they've had their issues, but we'll go over that a little later in the video. Today I pretty much just want to talk about how my ownership experience has gone with the car over the last 20,000 miles. I want to talk about some of the pros of this vehicle, and then I also want to talk about, some of the cons. Just kind of give you guys an idea of what it's like to own this car. I'll start by saying that this car is not, it's not the charisma of the GT. We're just going to get that off the table right now. This is not a 5-liter V8. You're not going to get that crazy high RPM rush of the V8. You're not going to get the big burly noise out of it. That's just not what this car is about. The Mustang Ecoboost comes with a 2.3-liter 4-cylinder with not a big turbocharger. I was about to say a big old fat turbocharger, but that's not true. It has a pretty small turbocharger. It is supposed to be an engine that's for the masses. It's supposed to kind of simulate and give you that higher power of a little bit larger engine, but still keep the fuel economy pretty reasonable. The 2.3-liter from the factory makes somewhere around 300 horsepower at the crank. So, I don't know, maybe 270 at the wheels, something like that at most, I would say. And then it makes quite a bit of torque low in the RPM range. Torque comes on around 2,000 RPM, and it tapers off somewhere in the 4,500 to 5,000 RPM range. It's an engine that's built for around town, for feeling quick on the street. It's got a good amount of roll-on power, but it really tapers off over about 5,000 RPM. This car comes in somewhere around, when it was new in 2019, this thing cost around $28,000 base with the performance package. This was probably a $32,000, $33,000 car. Don't quote me on that. These are rough numbers. I have not looked at the exact MSRP of a 2019 vehicle because at this point it doesn't really matter. But this car came with the Apple CarPlay package, whatever that was called. I think it's 301A is called, like the high package, gives you the tech package. But really nothing else. I have leather seat covers on this car, but it does have cloth seats underneath that. It's your basic car, has good cruise control, and it's a manual car. I mean, that's the star of the show with this thing is the fact that it's a manual. You really just don't find a lot of manual transmission cars anymore being sold brand new, and honestly, a lot of the turbo 4-cylinder Mustangs with that Ecoboost, they're never paired with the manual. It's pretty rare. I mean, they're out there, but you're going to find a lot more of the V8 cars with the manual. The 4-cylinder cars are more of that appliance kind of vehicle, and just a lot of people don't order it with the manual. A lot of dealerships just didn't order them with the manual, and they sell a lot of automatic 4-cylinder Mustangs. That's just the way it is. That's not a bad thing. I think it's cool that this car exists, or at least did exist until the next generation comes out, because it allows Ford to sell a fun 2-seat sports car to the masses, and it allows them to make up enough of a profit to keep offering the cool big GTs, the V8s, the GT500, all that sort of stuff. So with that said, we're going to get driving here, and I'm going to try to explain to you why I think this car is an amazing appliance sports car. It's your everyday, everyman sports car, and I really do think it offers a lot of value for that purpose. Yeah, let's get started, okay? I'm going to fire it up. All right. Already you can tell it's not a very loud engine. I do have a performance exhaust on it. So on the outside, it sounds fairly good. Inside the car, it's not the best sound in the world, but it is something that at least adds a little bit of flavor to it. It's not your average, just like super quiet, boring sort of engine noise. And when we get driving, you'll hear that it at least offers some engagement. The mufflers on this car are not stock. You can buy this car with a optional performance exhaust on it. It basically will make it sound largely like it does right now in these clips. I just have it sound like that all the time. I've never found that just adding these 2 performance mufflers to it has made it excessively loud at any time. In fact, actually, I'd say the amount of sound it has right now is kind of perfect for the daily driver, and it's never gotten old on the highway at all. It doesn't drone or anything. I love it. All right, let's mash it a little bit here. And there's 60. We're at 80 now. I mean, you can tell it's not a slow car by any means. It's just not a rocket ship. That's the big thing, is it's enough power. You can kind of get into boost. Yeah, there you go. It's fun, it's engaging. Let me throw it on the sport mode. It's got multiple drive modes with the performance package, and sport mode essentially just makes it boost a lot quicker. It makes throttle response a lot sharper, so like just little bits of throttle get you into boost. Most of the time I drive it in the regular mode and the normal mode, because I commute in this car, and I don't always want it to be just super snappy, crazy boost, because that's just not always, what you need in a daily driver. It just smacks you with torque at like between 3 and 5,000. You mash on it, and it just a big old wallop of torque all at once when that turbo just spools real quick. It's a lot of fun, honestly. It really is a fun motor on the street. I did take this car to the Tail of the Dragon about 10,000 miles ago. I got married in the area, so I figured I had to take the car on the Tail of the Dragon, right? It did okay. It's a big car, and I wouldn't say the chassis is amazing for that real tight hairpin stuff. And the motor really felt like it was working hard to carry a fast pace there. But something a little more wide open here with these flowing kind of curves, that's where this engine does really shine, because it's got a lot of torque coming out of a corner. And it is a fun chassis. I mean, it's a bigger chassis, but rear-wheel drive, it's got a nice balance to it. The car has a lot of grip, even on these winter tires. I would say it's got a bunch of grip, and it's a fun car. It's a fun car to have every day, but it's also usable. And that's what I want to kind of draw some attention to here. This 4-cylinder engine, V8 people love to just shit on the fact that this is a 4-cylinder engine, and that's fine. From an outright performance standpoint, you're always better off getting the V8. But if this, if you're a little more realistic with what you're actually looking for, and really you just want a fun car that's a daily driver, gets decent gas mileage, and won't break the bank, I think more people should consider the 4-cylinder, especially if you can find one in the manual transmission. I bought this car for $21,000 with it had a factory buyback title because it had some transmission problems, and that didn't scare me because it was all under warranty anyway. And long story short, I ended up getting a new transmission from Ford. But transmission problems aside, you can find one of these used with 40-ish thousand miles for probably right around $23,000 with a manual transmission, with a 300 horsepower turbo 4-cylinder engine. It's going to be a fun manual car to drive every day, and it's going to get decent gas mileage. It's a pretty reliable engine. Ford uses this 2.3 liter in everything. It's a good package for an economical sports car every day. I mean, this car has a huge trunk. It has a small back seat, but a back seat that can be usable at times. I put backpacks back there and things like that, whatever, all the time. I've carried as many as 4 full wheels and tires in this car. If you fold the rear seats down, you can get them in this car, depending on the size, but it does work. And it's great for road tripping. I averaged about 33 miles per gallon on an all-highway trip. I did that over and over again, back and forth to Omaha, and I was constantly cruising about 80 miles an hour. Some people will say you're going to get that with the GT Mustang. I know other people that have never managed any higher than about 30 miles a gallon, and they had to run exactly 70 miles an hour the whole way to do that. Say whatever you want to say about it, this engine is more economical than the V8. It gets largely better gas mileage most of the time. It takes way less oil when you're doing an oil change, and just overall, it's just a small engine. If something ever happened, you could replace it for a few grand with a used motor. You're never going to get a Coyote V8 for $3 grand unless it's got really high miles. So basically, I'm just trying to explain that this engine is not always a detractor. If you look at this car and just in focus, right, and you don't compare it to the GT, this car is a 300 wheel horsepower. If you have a tune, it's 300 horsepower to the wheels. It's turbocharged. It has a manual transmission. It's rear wheel drive. It looks freaking sweet. It's a neat car on its own right, and it's not that expensive. The fact you can still buy this car new for about $28,000, something like that, with no options, mind you, but you can buy a brand new rear-wheel drive turbo 4-cylinder like sports car for $28,000, and it's gonna, I mean, I am a big Miata fanboy, but for the same money, you are gonna walk all over any Miata, any Subaru BRZ for largely the same money in a straight line. Woo! And it's kind of fun to huck around. I mean, I just did about 70 over this little hump on my favorite back road, and it kind of gets lively and gets squirrely, and it's a good time, man. I love this car. I managed to get one with the Apple CarPlay for a pretty, what I thought was a really low price because of the factory buyback title, and it didn't bother me at all. I love the fact that I got this. I have Apple CarPlay for when I'm road tripping. I can just throw my Google Maps up on the screen, and my phone always stays charged, and that's a really nice thing to have. You don't need that by any means, but it is nice to have. You could get these cars with heated seats. I think you can get them with heated and cooled seats if you go with a higher trim package. It's a car that I think really offers a lot for what it is, but you have to be okay with the fact that you are buying the lesser engine in the same car. Me personally, I'm not at a point where I feel like spending $45,000 on a new Mustang GT. In fact, to get one with the performance package and the Grabber Blue that I would want, that's a $50,000 car right now. I got this car for, less than half that price with 21,000 miles, and to be frank, I think this car probably gives you 85% of the same experience. You just don't get the sound of the V8, and you don't get the 160 mile an hour highway pulls, which I'm not gonna do anyway. I've had this specific car to about 145 miles an hour, and I can say with like for a fact that going that fast just feels like you're absolutely gonna lose your license if any cop ever sees you. And I just don't think it's worth it when I don't think you can get away from the police, and I really don't think you should be running from the cops anyway. So 145 is plenty fast for a daily driver, and this thing's got plenty of roll-on power. It's got plenty of pep in its step. You feel that turbo shove going out of a corner. It's nice and neutral in a corner, and it feels like it's just a really good chassis. This S550 Mustang is a great chassis. It talks to you. It's good fun on a back road without being too much work. It's got electric power steering. It just doesn't ask a lot of you, but it offers a lot of fun for your dollar. That's the big thing with these 4-cylinder Mustangs. I think there's a lot of fun for your dollar. With just a basic stage 1 tune like this car has, and a couple of $50 mufflers welded in, you're having a good time for brand new, off the showroom floor, around $30,000 including taxes. That's a lot of bang for your buck, and I just think it's a good car. I think more people should consider these. I think they are very overlooked. They're an overlooked car, but that's really because of toxic masculinity. I think ultimately it's for instance, I've seen on like a Facebook group somebody complaining that no one should buy a 4-cylinder Mustang and expect a manual transmission because you don't deserve a manual transmission if you buy the 4-cylinder. What kind of fucking stupid gatekeeping is that bullshit? Like that's just dumb, honestly. Like I think it's a little sad that the next generation EcoBoost Mustang is getting rid of the manual, and apparently there's dude bros out there that don't even think we should get a manual transmission if we went for the 4-cylinder like a bunch of pansies. Just that kind of stuff is just really annoying, because this manual transmission absolutely makes the EcoBoost Mustang a driver's car. It's fun, man. Sure, it's not going to be as much of a driver-focused, driver-centric car as a BRZ or as a Miata, but it's probably 60-70% there, and you get way more power out of it. I mean, I can do a highway pull, and I can hit 120, 130, no problem, just real quick. Like, this car does not try that hard to hit those kinds of speeds. Heel toe downshifting is great. Just the pedal spacing on this car is really wonderful for a driver, and I like the car. I think it's a really, really good car. I don't know, there's not a ton else to say about it. I'm just, whipping it around these corners on my favorite little back road, and I'm having a good time. It sounds pretty good. I get a nice wave of torque, and I think more people should consider this car. That's the big thing I'm trying to go for. So that said, this is kind of my 20,000 mile review of this car. I have truly put 20,000 miles on it in the last 7 or 8 months, because I've just done tons of highway in this car. I've done everything from the tail of the Dragon to just driving through traffic in Omaha to slogging away 3,000 miles in a trip on the highway. So I feel like I've got a pretty good idea of what this car brings to the table, and I think a lot more people might find that they enjoy it if they gave it a chance. So I'm gonna pull over here and finish this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. If you made it this far in the video, I would appreciate it if you'd go with a like or even a subscribe to the channel. It would help me over time. I'd love to build this channel a little bit, but if not, that's cool too. Thank you guys for watching. Peace out and stay shifty. I'll see you in the next one.